What is the policy on guests coming to visit you in halls? Can my dog come and visit? What happens if you don't like your flatmate? Does someone show you how to use the washing machines, and how do you collect your post?
Those are random ones, but I like them.
Hello everyone, and welcome to this edition of the Belong at Brighton podcast. Here at Brighton, we understand that coming to university, finding a home or somewhere to live is a really, really important factor with that. So today we're going to be talking about all things accommodation, and we're lucky enough today to be joined by our accommodation team and some of our current students. So we'll do some introductions. So Shiv, do you want to start?
Yeah, so I'm Shiv. I'm the systems manager for the accommodation team at the university.
Hi, I'm Paolo. I'm the accommodation manager for the University of Brighton.
I'm Freya. I'm a current student, but I'm also a student residential advisor living in Myth Russell's.
I'm Brendan. I'm a second year studying art history. I lived in private halls in first year, and now I'm in private rented accommodation.
Wonderful, brilliant. Well, it's great to have everybody here. So I suppose a good place to kick off really might be to sort of say, if you are a first year student and you want to come and live in halls of residence here at Brighton, what's the process? How do students apply and make that application?
And the application process really straightforward. As long as you're eligible, which means that you've made us your firm choice of university, basically, and you're going into your first year with us, then we will send you an email inviting you to apply online. So those emails start to go out at the right at the beginning of April, and the application window runs from April to the end of June. So you'll get an email from us either right at the beginning of April or once you make us your firm choice of university, if you haven't done that by then. And it just says, gives you some information, click here to apply. You don't actually need the email to apply. So some people get confused with that, but you don't need it. But you just need to go to our online portal. It takes about 10 to 15 minutes to fill in the application. If you've got any additional needs or anything that we need to know about, it's a good idea to have any documentation from your doctor or whatever ready while you're doing your application, because that'll speed things up for you. But yeah, you just need to put in 4 to 6 preferences from all of the room types that we have available. Let us know any other information or preferences that you might have. We've got a notes field that you can just write whatever you want in, absolutely anything. And I'm responsible for managing the allocations, and I read every single one of those notes. So you can put in there if you want to live with your friends, if you already know people, you want to live with them. You just have to say you want to live with them. They say they want to live with you. And while we can't guarantee those requests, this year, everybody who made a request like that was housed with their friends. All of our students this year, 98% got their first or second choice of room type.
So
that's reassuring.
The application itself is 7 steps, so it takes no more than 10 minutes to complete, and you receive a notification that you completed, so save that for peace of mind. And email, and the other thing is important. Some people, how should I apply or not? My advice would be apply. Yeah. It's safest. If you change your mind and you say I want to live private, it's fine, we can help you with that. But at least you got yourself covered, because after you apply, we invite you to an offer, like, here's your room. And you say, no, actually, I don't want to find something else. But at least you have your base cover as a first year study for people moving away from home, and the parents as well sometimes, knowing that at least something's there ready for them is a peace of mind.
Once you've done your application, we then behind the scenes read all the notes and try and match everyone up as best we can with their preferences. And then we'll send an email with your room offer once you've met the conditions of your academic offer. Yeah. So for most people, obviously, that's going to be like A-level results day morning. So I'm there with my finger on the button. First thing, A-level results day, to send everybody's room offers out. And then at that point, you just have to pay the first week's rent to accept the room. Or if you've decided you don't want it, you can turn it down. That's absolutely fine. And then we'll be able to offer that room to another student in clearing.
Okay. You mentioned before there's like a window of time where students need to apply. A question I've had a few times is it first come, first serve? Like, do they need to dash and apply immediately as soon as they get that email?
It's not the...
No, we don't do that. We try and keep it as sort of fair as possible. So as long as you make your application in the window before the end of June, basically, then you've got the same same guarantee as anyone. You've got the same likelihood of getting your preferences if you apply on the 30th of June as you have if you apply on the 1st of April. It makes no difference. There are some students who will get their offers before we close applications if they've got unconditional academic offers. I do a bit of maths behind the scenes, and I can work out how many people were able to offer their rooms to a bit earlier and still keep it fair for everyone. But yeah, as long as you apply in the window, it's not first come, first served. That would be a bit of a mad scramble for people. Yes. And we don't want to add to the stress around that time, really.
Yeah, because we believe conditional academic offer holders, the reason they are conditional is nothing to do with the timing. It's just they have to wait for the result. There's nothing they can control over. And we believe that those students that have a conditional academic offer have the same right to get one of the first or second preference as their conditional academic offer.
Right, that sounds like a really fair way of doing it. So that sounds great. What types of accommodation options are there available to students, and how do they go about accessing them?
Well, you can live wherever you want. As a student, there's no requirement for you to live in university accommodation, but we do have accommodation in our halls of residence for students. We've got a variety of different room types for students at different price points. Students can also choose to live in the private sector if they want to. So there's private halls of residence as well, and then houses. If you want to share with people, especially if you've already got friends before you come to Brighton that you want to share with, you can choose a house if you'd rather. And then obviously there's the other things like lodging and things like that. So there's a variety of different options, and it really is just dependent on what it is that you want from your accommodation while you're at uni. So we facilitate applications to our own halls of residence, but we can also help students when they're looking for private accommodation as well. And
first year of study students, of course, have guaranteed offer from us. So your first year of study, you want some peace of mind, of course, and you are settled on living halls. There is a guarantee offer for every first year of study. So that gives you some accessibility, easy way in to the first step, moving away from home.
Well, yeah, because we can completely understand that it can be quite an anxious time for students, I suppose, especially if, they haven't lived away from home before. So maybe we could chat to some of our current students. What were your living arrangements, and how did you sort of access accommodation when you started?
For me, for first year, I had Brighton as my insurance option, actually, so I didn't have agreed accommodation. So I remember getting my results on A-level day and thinking, oh my gosh, where am I going to live? What am I going to do? But then I must have called up the accommodation office. And I spoke to a really lovely lady, and she was like, I'm going to fit you in somewhere. And I ended up in halls in Varley Park. I had a shared bathroom, single bed, but I loved it. Quite a lot of people don't like the thought of, sharing a bathroom. But I think it was, really lovely. I loved Varley Park. I loved all of it.
Yeah, as Paolo said, with students who are coming into their first year who meet the eligibility criteria, we do have a guarantee. Wow. But for students who make us their insurance choice, or they come to us through clearing, something like that, whilst we don't have that guarantee, we have a call centre that we set up every A-level results day, which is staffed with the accommodation team and some students who've been through the clearing system with accommodation, that kind of thing. And we're there to help you no matter what. So even if you're not within that guarantee, we do help you find accommodation, and lots of students will live in our halls, even if they aren't in that guaranteed student group like you were able to do.
Yeah.
So
that sounds great. It sounds like it all worked out in the end, which is great. And Brenda, do you want to just introduce yourself and Did you live in halls for your first?
Yeah, so I didn't live on campus. I lived in private halls, which was very close to the university anyway. Right. And it was one of the options supplied by the university. So Brighton was my first choice. I did a list of preferences, and one was selected from there. And I got Hollingbury House selected for mine, which overall great accommodation. Price wise, it was quite similar to Mithras Halls. It was a little bit more, but with it being private, obviously it makes sense. But yeah, it was great, and it was really easy as well, because I ended up meeting a lot of people that ended up being in Mithras. They spoke about their experience with it. And I had pretty much the same thing. So even being in a private off-campus halls, it was still super smooth, super easy to figure out.
Yeah. That is one of the other things that we do. Obviously, it's hard to know exactly how many students are going to come to the university in any one year. So we do make arrangements with private halls providers. Each year we'll look at the numbers and try and make sure that we've got some rooms nominated with them. So that, that is one of the other things that we arrange for our students. And yeah, they're usually available for students who apply main cycle or students who come through clearing.
Right, so I'd be really interested to hear now from our current students about their first-hand experience of living in halls. So Freya and Brandon, what's your experience? What is it like? What's included in halls, and what's it all about when you arrived? Freya, should we start with you?
Yeah. So I've lived in 2 different halls by my time in university. And yeah, my first one was in Bali. That was the one I had a shared bathroom and a single bed. And yeah, when you get there, it is a bit daunting because it's like you look on online, say, what's going to be in the room? What do I need to bring? When you get there, there's always people around to help you. Then you get to your room, and it's all really exciting because you've got everyone's moving in at the same time. Yeah, then in your room you've got everything you would need basics wise. You've got your bed, they normally give you a bin, you've got your drawers, your cupboards. Big things to bring, I reckon, would be coat hangers. I feel like people always forget those.
Okay.
And an extension lead.
Shiv and Paolo, I don't know, does information go out to the students in halls about what to bring and what not to bring? Because I suppose sometimes everybody might bring the same thing when maybe that's not really necessary.
It does. I mean, there are a few places, starting from the induction. It's one of the things. So once you accept the offer and before you move in, to book your moving slot, that's what we use to manage this a long induction, and that's what to bring. And also, we also started off with the community spaces before people arrive. We move along, but Discord is now a place when, we invite students to join. And for us, it's a good place because that's where you get to know people you're going to be in the flat, which is great. My recommendation once to join Discord is actually having this sort of conversation, the nitty-gritty of what to bring. Use this example many times. You don't need 7 rice cookers.
Yeah,
you don't need that many, honestly. Even if you are a hardcore cooker, you don't need that many. So I think sometimes, it's a good place to say, hey, I'm bringing this. I'm happy to share it. Or I've got my mum and dad give me set of pans and I can share with someone else.
The kitchens are really well equipped anyway, but they don't have air fryers or rice cookers in them. They do have cookers and microwave, kettle, toaster. And if you're in a bigger flat, there'll be 2 of each of those, and the fridge freezers as well. And there'll be a cupboard for everyone. So there is enough space for everyone. But we also still don't need 8 rice cookers and 8 air fryers in the kitchen. So it's really good to join the Discord. I know that lots of people are wondering about sharing a bathroom or having an ensuite. Ensuite, lovely, obviously. But I think my secret tip is always, if you do go for the shared bathroom option, then the university cleaners are going to clean that bathroom for you. And it's a bit cheaper than the ensuite options as well.
I never had a problem with my shed. There was 6 of us in my flat and we had 3 bathrooms. And it was great because the cleaners would come once a week. There'd only be 1 shower between 2 of you. And it was gorgeous.
So Brendan, how about you? What was your experience like moving into halls for the first time, and anything you'd like to share about your experiences?
Yeah, so I lived in private halls, so a little bit different to the on-campus ones. Obviously, you're in your own separate space. They sort it out themselves, so you go through their website and their facilities to book your move-in slot and to get your keys and everything. You just go in straight there and doing it through them. When you first move in, so I had an ensuite room. All I'm going to say is bring loo roll with you. There's none in the room. But so in my room, I had a small double bed, I had a desk, wardrobe, and then the ensuite area with a shower, toilet, and sink. Really nice, really clean, all looked new, up to date. It was great. Desk areas, they're a little bit smaller, but still good for all your basics, for doing your uni work. You can have a games console or something set up there. There's absolutely enough space for what you want to do to have a bit of fun, but also, get your uni work done. In terms of stuff to bring, I think if you're living not too far away from home, just bringing your basics is more than enough to start with. So kitchen supplies, I had a shared kitchen with 7 other people. So basic kitchen utensils, you might end up being able to share with people if, you become friends with people, which can be a lot easier. I know by the end of first year, I was doing a shared food shop with another guy, and that's who I now live with. So
Nice.
it kind of prepped us for that. But in terms of your room, you're going to want your bed in, you're going to want any desk supplies, if you've got a TV or console, anything like that. You don't need to bring all of your clothes. Like, you come in like summer, so you don't need like
True.
some of your winter stuff maybe to begin with. If you know that you're going to be going home again, you don't need to worry about completely filling like the car boot, first time round. But just bring whatever's going to be comfortable for you. You want those first few weeks especially to be comfortable. And I think just bringing anything that can help you with that's really good just to have there, in case you need it.
Wonderful. And I suppose this is to both of you, really. All of the halls residents have like communal spaces, don't they? How does that work? Was that a bit nerve-wracking, kind of socialising there on the first day? And what do people do? Just kind of chilling out, hanging out in the communal spaces?
I actually think I found it really helpful, especially on when you first move in, because it does seem to be a place that people congregate to. Like in both Farley and Mithras, they're big rooms. They've got pool tables, foosball tables. It's normally near the laundry, so people also hang out there while they're doing their laundry. Yeah, it's a good place to meet people. It's a very relaxed vibe. You can go down and get the pool cues, so you can play pool. And and I think living in Mithras as well, we're really lucky to have the venue underneath the building, the Student Union Bar. So that's again very popular. People love to go. All the boys in my flat, they go and play pool every single day in the venue. Yeah, they're great. The communal spaces are really great.
Ben, was that the same for you as well with your private
Yeah, so it was a little bit smaller because the accommodation I was in was just 2 blocks of flats that were in the same kind of big building. So we had one bigger communal area for everyone, but there was a football table, there was a games console set up, there was a TV. You had like a sink area where like if they ever had any like free food or like promotions with other companies, which tended to happen quite often, they'd have like little just freebies that you could grab.
Oh, nice.
There was a private study space as well that you didn't have to rent it out, but like you could go in if it was empty. There was just a good like quiet room that if you wanted to get uni work done, not in your bedroom, then you could. And yeah, you'd go down sometimes and people would just be chilling, playing a game or whatever, and you could just go join them. And it was a nice atmosphere when you had obviously people down there and you can just meet new people.
So, Freya, I wanted to ask you directly about your role as SRA, a Student Residential Advisor. So could you explain a little bit to us about what that is and what support SRAs can give?
Yeah, of course. So we're students as well, says in the name. We live in halls with the other freshers, and we're just there as like a supportive kind of peer wellbeing role. Okay. So we support in many ways. We have an overnight phone which the residents can use to call us for like minor wellbeing issues like homesickness. We get a lot, especially in the first term, or just general advice, because it's really hard being freshly 18, moved away from home. Like this year, I did have a lot of, how do I turn the oven on? Or how do you cook a pizza? Which we're always happy to, answer, because we've all been there. And we also have an Instagram, which you can also DM us, because some people don't like using the phone. And then also support wise, we check in with our flats a lot. So in the first term, I'll go in person and I'll try and meet everyone, like just make sure they're feeling okay. We're there all year round, but first term people generally need us.
Sure, because I suppose people are feeling nervous, aren't they? So that's totally normal, I guess, isn't it?
Definitely. So and I think we're a great point of contact because we've been through what you're going through, so we've had that kind of experience, and it's nice to be able to pass your wisdom on. Also support wise, we do these events, so we talk about the common rooms. In the common rooms, every site of the university's halls has SRAs, so we do events for the students. So we just did Chinese New Year, and we did Valentine's Day card making. So we try and tailor it around the seasons. Then we have movie nights. Those are always very popular.
Sorry, can I jump in and ask actually? Because people that are in like other private accommodations, you don't really get like the same sort of events set up. Are those sort of events open for anyone to join? So if there are other first years in private halls, could they also jump in?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, we're always really welcoming. Like we'll have anyone that's around. We'll be there to help out.
Nice.
Definitely.
And Brendan as well. What are your experiences? Did you feel quite well supported when you started? How were you feeling when you kind of first moved into halls?
Yeah, I mean,
did you access that?
Obviously we didn't have like specific SRAs or things like that, but we always had the university there. So if we had, something more pressing or just anything to ask, the university is always there to answer questions no matter what accommodation you're in. You always had the people that were working the front desk as well, whether that was security or the actual like day staff. If you had a concern or anything, you could always go to those people. But most of the people in that place, like you were saying, freshly 18, first year students, probably living on their own for the first time, you've got each other as well. Like there's really good support networks just in the people that you're meeting. Right. And you most likely are going to end up being friends with either the people in your flat or people in the other flats in your block. And you'll end up, whether you're going out to the pub or you're being in the social areas or you're just chilling in someone's room, like you're always going to have people around you, which I think is quite nice about the shared facilities of being in halls.
Okay, brilliant. Yeah, no, that sounds that support network's there, which is really encouraging to hear. Shiv and Paolo, I don't know if you wanted to add anything more about the sort of support that's available. I know there is some financial support as well.
Yeah, there is. As well as the student residential advisors, there are staff residential advisors as well. There's some members of staff whose entire full-time job is doing residential wellbeing. And then there are also other members of staff who might be lecturers or work in the support services at the university by day. And then by night, they are residential advisors and they're also living on campus as well. So as you said, Freya, the more minor things, a bit of homesickness or, some tips on making friends or whatever, the student residential advisors are there. But if there's anything that's a little bit more serious, then there's always members of staff available, as well as security 24 hours. There's security and there's wellbeing staff available 24 hours for all the students in halls.
The staff residential advisor are available every single night throughout the year, even during
365 Christmas Day, they're still on duty.
I think that's really good. In terms of support, if you're in doubt, what to reach, because support can be quite wide, contact Accommodation. We then look at what kind of support you need, and for students residential advisor might be the answer, or with staff residential advisor, or something bigger. We go also the residential wellbeing team, or the wellbeing team as a whole, to help you out.
The universities really understands what students are like going through when they move away from home for the first time. So we really try and surround you with support from all directions, in a sense. And one of those things, obviously, is going to be financial. We understand the cost of living impacting on people. So the university's got the Brighton Boost system, and that was brought in to help support students in those situations where the cost of living is impacting on them. And so there's money towards your accommodation costs available for students who are eligible for that.
The Boost,
as well as the more general hardship funds that are available in the university. And we have student money advisors as well, who can help you with budgeting, or if you need to speak to student loans, they can help with contacting student finance for you.
We also have some help for international students as well, international advice service team, because for international students, the journey might be very different from the financial point of view to the overall experience, the cultural shock. I'm not from here, as my accent might give out. So I think as well, international advice service team helps in supporting, because there are sometimes, when talking about support, they ask me a question about visa. I'm not an expert, but I can find an expert.
But we do have a team of visa experts.
Correct. There's always an expert somewhere, and
I've heard as well, as part of the Brighton Boost, I think it's called the Student Union Essentials kind of shop, which I think is a kind of a completely non-judgmental kind of space that students can access. Doesn't matter who you are or what you're studying, you can come along, and from what I understand, you can come and pick up essentials. So whether that be food, toiletries, so that is there again for students to access. So back to our students again, in terms of financial support, did any of you access that support that was available to you?
Yeah, so I received Brighton Boost, which is what you were talking about. Well, I still receive it now, which is if you're eligible, you get, it's just a financial boost every few months. It lines up pretty well with student finance, and you get it in 3 lump sums across the year. which for me in first year, it really helped with my rent payments because I was still looking for part-time work at the time. And just having that little boost, it really helps. It kind of eases your mind because you know that your rent is sorted, you know that you've got that support there, and you can turn your focus back towards your studies, for example, or just towards your day-to-day life, and you don't have to worry so much. So it's just, for a lot of people, I think it's just that relief. It's a bit of weight off your shoulders whilst you might be looking for work, or if you have, another financial trouble and you just need something to kind of help with that. It's a really good program for those that can get it.
I know there's a great section on our website about the Boost, which has like an eligibility checker. You can go and read all about the Boost itself, but also whether or not you're eligible. So I definitely recommend checking out online too.
Yeah.
So I know we mentioned earlier about students coming from a bit further afield, so international students. So is there any bespoke support for those students if they are travelling a bit further for university?
Yes, there is. So I think I mentioned before, there is so many changes already, even if you're from UK, but from international. So we do have an orientation week, or orientation program. Actually, it's not a week anymore. It's like a lengthy program divided. You can be in person or online. So what the aim is for students coming from abroad, to get used to certain aspects. So some online sessions, some of them have questions about accommodation. They don't want to live in halls, they want to live private, how we navigate that. Some of the students are going to come to halls and what to expect. So we work alongside the International Advice Service team. They organize a series of events, so to kind of set you in by the time your course starts. So this event happen before your actual time of university, go into classroom. And it range. Sometimes take you some places to see how to open a bank account. International Advice Service team help on that. And some of the questions, as we were chatting before, they are about visa, for instance. It's a complex system on its own. International Advice Service team is there also to navigate all the different bureaucracy, I guess, all the different parts of the visa.
We organise with the international advice team for some international students who are doing orientation events in person, who want to move in maybe a few days early, and they can get settled in before everybody arrives on move-in weekend. The international advice team are great at everything down to exactly which bus you need to get from Gatwick Airport, or which train, or all of that information's on the website. But also, you can always get in touch with them, because obviously for international students, the literal journey to get here is much more lengthy for them. And international students, they might not be celebrating Christmas, for example, so they might still be living on site over the Christmas vacation, or over all of the vacations potentially, but particularly Christmas. We still have 24-hour support in halls available for students, and there are residential wellbeing events over the Christmas break. So whilst we might all think that everyone's going home for Christmas, that's not the case.
Okay, so we've heard lots about halls of residence, but what about for the remainder of students' courses, so in the second, third, fourth year? What options are available, and how does the accommodation team support those students specifically?
Well, for second year students, you're not eligible to return to halls. So the option is private rented sector. And when we say private rented sector, is a range of different type of property. If you divide it in three mains, I would say private halls is an option. So they work exactly as university halls. Pretty much it's different in the sense of it's just managed by a private company rather than university. The other option is private housing. And the third option is what we call homestaying or lodging or hosting. So those are the three main areas. We provide advice all the way through. In the way we provide advice, we do it in bite size. I think there is a lot to cover. I think one of the first questions I have, how do I start? Because then all the rest flows. And I'd like to hear actually, how did you find somewhere?
I ended up moving in with someone that I lived with in first year, which was obviously just by chance. We met when we moved into halls. We decided, okay, we'll move in together. We were looking at housing, and then another friend was also looking. So initially we were looking for 3 beds. That person did end up dropping out of the house hunt, so we went back to 2 beds, which it made things a little bit stressful because we were kind of nearing the deadline. But we managed to get somewhere, we managed to get a great place. And I think the key thing is just finding out who you want to live with. If you can find that out sooner rather than later, just so you have numbers, I think that's a really, like, if you can get that sorted right away, I think that's the biggest thing. So you know how many bedrooms you're going to need. And then also just your budget. You can do, I mean, I imagine you might mention whether it's bills included or whether you pay for bills separately. And you've got so many different letting agents around as well. Just finding kind of what your budget will be and what companies are going to fit that budget. Yeah. Because then even if you're just having like a quick glance once a week, even if it's really early days, just getting kind of a brief idea of like what's in the area, how much is it going to cost you, and kind of do you think there's going to be much competition as well? Because that'll also help you know how early to get in.
So one of the other things that you need to think about early on is your situation with a guarantor, because most properties in Brighton, they're going to want somebody to sign as a guarantor for you. So you need to think about that early, because if you maybe don't have access to someone who can be a guarantor, there are alternatives, but it just slightly complicates things for you. So you need to factor it into your timings. Basically, we have a partnership with an organisation that can act as a guarantor for people who don't have them. So they can act as guarantors for a fee, but there is a discount that we've managed to negotiate for our students on that. But it can, if you don't have a guarantor, it can complicate things, and so you might need to, look at certain letting agencies and not other letting agencies. But we've got lots of information on our website. We publish a house hunting guide. We send out newsletters to all the students in halls and sort of spread out a little bit so we're not bombarding you too much with information. But the first one will be like, have a think about who you want to live with in your second year. Oh, it's probably time to start looking for accommodation now. Like, this is Rightmove, this is Open Rent, all the different options that you would have.
There's lots of places to look at.
And yeah, there's lots of accommodation available in Brighton. Like Paolo said, a few years back, it was the market was a bit hotter, so you did have to start looking a bit earlier. But these days, it's everybody finds something. So even if you feel like you're looking late, don't worry. You will find something. People who don't realise they're coming to Brighton until August through clearing, they all find somewhere to live. It's you will find somewhere.
So, there's been loads of information there. So, Paolo, is there anything that applicants or current students can look up online to find all of this information?
Absolutely. So, if you're an applicant, the website. If you're a student, just use My Brighton. We update them regularly, and you'll find guide information, all that we discuss, even in further details, the guarantor, the scheme, the deposit. Yeah, that will be the place to go. So, website, or if you're a student enroll, go to My Brighton. There's a private rental sector page, and then yeah.
Okay, so to finish up, there's been loads of great information here, lots and lots of great advice, but we did ask on social media if anybody had any questions specifically about accommodation, the application process, or how to make the application, but also about kind of student life generally. And I've got some questions here, so I guess this is open to everyone. So the first one, we did talk about it a little bit earlier, but when is the deadline to apply for halls of residence?
Oh, that's easy. It's the 30th of June.
Great.
And it stays the same each year as well.
Brilliant. Straightforward one. So another one here. Can we request to live with people we know in halls?
Yes. So I do all of the allocations, and there's a field that you can fill in just like at the bottom. You can write whatever you want in there. And so people, request that they are on the top floor or, whatever, but also you can request to live with people. And this year there were a load of students who met on the Discord chat that we have, and they decided that they all wanted to live together in halls, so they all put it on their applications, or some of them had already made applications, in fact, so they just emailed us and said, we've met these people, we want to live with them. And this year we were able to meet everybody's requests, everyone who asked to live with a friend, as long as the friend asks to live with you as well. Then we will try our best to do it. We can't always guarantee it, but usually it's fine. And this year, everybody who asked was able to be allocated with their friends.
Oh, brilliant. I'm pleased you mentioned Discord there, because this is, we launched the Discord server, I think, last year, but it's a great way to meet people who, potentially will be in the same halls as you or the same flats. So definitely I'd recommend as well really checking that out, because it's a great way to connect beforehand. Another one here. So what is the policy on guests coming to visit you in halls if the guests aren't living with you?
So you can bring a guest, you can stay for 2 nights in a row, and that's the limit. The reason of that is, of course, because there's also people living in the same place, and if everybody brings a guest, it becomes very easily overcrowded. So it's pretty much 1 guest for 2 nights.
You have to sign them in at reception.
Important.
Fire regulations.
Fire regulations. So important things to do is, like, when you have a guest, just go to reception, let them know there's someone, they sign it in. That's all important for fire safety.
That's only if they're staying overnight as well.
So,
obviously, you're allowed guests
during the day.
during
During the day, it doesn't matter. You can bring guests out, but if they're staying overnight, it's very important to let the whole reception know, sign them in, so they know there's someone in stay in the particular flat.
So the next one we've got, a bit of an unusual one. Can my dog come and visit?
The only animals that are allowed in halls are service animals. So we've got a couple of service animals in halls this year that are assisting their students. But in general, pets aren't allowed.
Correct.
This one gets asked quite a bit. Obviously, everyone isn't going to get on with everyone. So what happens if you don't like your flatmates?
I think we're quite a good first port of call for that, the student residential advisors. You can shoot us an email anytime. We have posters on all the walls in halls, so you get to see my face quite a lot if you live in my halls. It's easy to shoot us an email. There's a lot of things we can do if there's a specific issue. We quite often do like a flat meeting. We're happy to send an email just kind of reminding people about living communally, and also referring to, the halls rules and stuff. If you're really unhappy, there's always, stages to escalate it. If you're really unhappy, I'd then be talking to the accommodation office about, there's always a possibility of a switch, like a switching rooms. You set up a service, don't you, where people can put up room swaps. As student residential advisors, we're quite good at the mediation.
If the mediation's not working or anything. But usually it settles down after a little bit of intervention.
Just a bit of communication. Stay communicating with each other. Brilliant. So does someone show you how to use the washing machines, and how do you collect your post?
Those are random ones, but I like them. I have many a time been in the laundry room, and as you see people pondering. I always say, do you want some help? Again, we're a good port of call for that. If you don't know, I'm always happy to go and show someone how to put a cycle of laundry on. And then the collect the post thing, again, that's really easy. You go to reception, you'll have, and this is in halls, you go to reception, but if you get a package, they'll send you a little email, which is quite handy, because then you're like, oh, got a little package, quite exciting, go down and get your post. And we've got a final one here. So on moving in day, can parents come in our room and stay for a while to help unpack and settle in? So as SRAs, again, we're very involved in moving in day. We're on site all day for the whole weekend. And of course they can. So you'll come up, you'll get your keys, get everything you need. You'll be given your allocated slot. You'll be told where to park. Moving in day is so busy. Like, there's so many people, but there's so many staff around. So you never need to worry about. Just walk up to someone and they're very obvious. They've always got the here to help shirts and stuff.
I mean, just to sort of finish up now, we always kind of ask this at the end. If you had like a kind of one top tip that you'd give to new students starting, what would it be? Sorry to put you on the spot a bit here. Brendan, should we start with you?
I think it's just kind of take it as it comes, because there's only so much you can prepare for it. Because, I mean, for me, the day that I moved into Brighton was my first day in Brighton. I'd never been here before. Wow. So there's only so much that you can plan for. And I'm very much a person that I like to plan ahead. But when you go into a new place, you can have a look online at what the rooms look like, so you can get a rough idea. Great way to plan. You can, if for the Discord, for example, or if you're in halls that don't do that, there are other social medias. If you can find the people that you're living with beforehand and get to know them, that's fantastic. But if you can't, 99% chance they're all going to be lovely anyway, and you're going to meet them on the day and they'll be great. Again, doing your food shop when you first move in, just making sure you've really got those essentials just to get you through the first few days. But just taking it as it comes. if something comes up that you're not prepared for, there's always going to be people around that can help you through it as well.
Awesome. I think that's great advice. Freya, anything to add?
I think mostly just not to worry. Like maybe you've gone for the first week and you're still feeling like I haven't met that many people, like I haven't made any friends, like I'm going to be lonely forever. Like, no, you're not. it is really daunting and it's really scary. It took me a good 6 weeks to find the people I really am close to now. But I think it's just one of those things you've got to stick with it. Try and put yourself out there as much as you can. And if you are struggling, there are people you can come to our events. We'll help you out. We'll set you up with some people. Yeah, just remember there's always support, and it is, because it does get really fun. It's just that first initial shock of I'm living on my own. I haven't got anyone I know, but it's
Oh, brilliant! No, that sounds really reassuring. Thanks, Brett. Paolo, I don't know if you've got what would your top tip be?
Easy one. If you're first year of study, just apply. And then if you change your mind, so be it. So that will be my top tips. Then my last tips is, when in doubt, on one concern, just ask. You know, I mean, from SRAs to accommodation. So that would be my top tips.
Great. Shiv?
I've got a bit of a boring one, which is make sure you're happy with your 2 top choices if you're applying for accommodation, because the vast majority of students are going to get their first or second choice of accommodation. So make sure you're happy with 1 and 2 on your application, and then you should be happy with your allocation in the end. And the other one is, on the day that you move in, pack yourself a little bag of all of the things to make you comfortable, so that you don't feel obliged to unpack every one of your belongings on the first night. And include in that tea bags or coffee and loo roll.
Okay, well, thanks so much, everyone. It's been a great sort of session today. I've learnt loads, so thanks very much for your time and for coming along. Thanks, everybody, as well, for listening. We really hope you found it helpful. If you have got any other questions about accommodation here at Brighton, please do feel free to reach out to us. And we look forward to seeing you at the next podcast.